Leo, why don't you give us the third thing that you would do if you were to get started, and I'll give you mine and we'll wrap it up for today.
My third thing is have a schedule. It's boring. It's really boring. It's dry. But have a schedule. You had a schedule when you were doing your 9 to 5, right? You had a schedule. So have a schedule. I can't say anything else. Have a schedule. Have a schedule and stick to the schedule. Have a schedule and make it important to have your schedule. Have a schedule and tell people, hey, I have some things scheduled. Let me schedule you after what I have scheduled. Have a schedule and let the schedule dictate your day and not let your day dictate your schedule. Have a schedule. Can I hear from the choir? Have a schedule that means something. Because I fell into the trap too. I would have a schedule and a client would call and say, hey, can we meet at this time instead of that time? And I would crap my schedule to meet with that client, and that would throw off the rest of my week or the rest of my day. Have a schedule, because they have a schedule, and if you respect your schedule, others will respect your schedule. But if you don't respect your schedule, they won't respect your schedule. When I started, I would take phone calls at 8, 9 o'clock at night from clients. I had no respect of my schedule or my family's schedule, and neither did they. I was on the phone talking at 10:30 p.m. about something that could have waited till the next day. Because the industry that I'm in, real estate, there's no such thing as an emergency that's that pivotal, right? Whatever it is, it could wait till the next day. If something's going out of contract, guess what? You knew that 3 weeks ago that was the end of the contract date, right? So your lack of planning is creating the emergency. So if you had a schedule, you would have had on your schedule, hey, this is going to be ending in 5 days. Are we on track to close in 5 days? No. Well, let's get an extension. Have a schedule. I'm preaching to myself too. But respect your schedule and others will respect the schedule. And when you have that initial conversation with someone, tell them, hey, I'm in the office between 9 and noon doing paperwork and making sure every transaction is in place and we're ready to close. So if you call me and I'm not available between 9 and noon, know that I return calls between 1 and 3. And I do appointments for showings between 2 and 6. And that's my schedule. What day between 2 and 6 are you able to see properties? Right? And respect your schedule. Now, I'm not telling you to be a robot. But if you're going to make an exception for your schedule, let them know this is abnormal. I don't do this. This is the only time I'm doing this. I don't create a habit of doing it. But like, for instance, I had a customer fly in from the UK, and they had a specific window that they could work within. But I knew that 3 weeks before they came. So I said, hey, I usually don't switch up my schedule, but you're coming all the way from the UK, you're coming from London, I'll make the time. But typically this is when I do what I do. Yeah. Make that schedule and tell them about your schedule. And even in your voicemail, you could even leave it on your voicemail and say, hey, this is my schedule. So if I miss your call, this is when I return calls. And I return them within the 24 hours or between one business day. So if you say, hey, I'm not going to work weekends, you don't work weekends. I know agents that are uber successful that don't work Saturday and Sunday. I'm talking about doing over $1 million in gross commission income without working weekends.
Wow.
Because guess what? The job that you were working at 9 to 5, a lot of them weren't open on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what the customer did? They abided by their schedule.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to a store that says they close at 8 and you arrive at 7:59, they'll let you know, hey, we got 1 minute. You don't even have time to get in here and get out. I'm sorry. Somebody probably standing by the door. I know the grocery store I go to around the corner, somebody stand by the door with like 5 minutes left, letting people know, hey, we closing in 5 minutes. So if it's something you need that's going to take more than 5 minutes, you may want to come back tomorrow. So that's my last thing, is create a schedule, and that creating that schedule allows you to plan time for your resetting your mind in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Gives you time at night to write your list of things that you're grateful for. You create a schedule that helps you create the life that you want. And if you do that, I 100% believe it will elevate your level of professionalism. It'll elevate the experience that you have with your customers, because you're setting the expectation, which is the 3A, is set the expectation. And for me, I always set the expectation, and I as the worst and hope for the best, because I would much prefer to under promise and over deliver than to over promise and under deliver, because that makes people feel a certain way. And when they feel that way, they are more likely to talk about, oh, I had this horrible experience. He told me I would only need 5,000. Now I need 7,000. Now I'm gonna tell you, you need 8,500 and you need 7,000. You're gonna feel a lot better about, oh man, I thought I would need 8,500 and I only need 7,000. So I'm not trying to discourage everybody, but I'm trying to tell you this is what's really going to be necessary. And if it happens to be less than what I told you, you're not mad at me. You're not mad that you saved an extra $1,500.
Yeah.
You're not mad about that. But you are mad if you find out, oh, you need to go get an extra $1,500. So set a schedule, set expectations. That's number 3 for me.
That's really good. There's so much that goes into it that probably would require an entire episode, just because a lot of times as an entrepreneur, there's like this myth that you have, all this free time.
Uber free time, yeah.
When really, instead of somebody else dictating your schedule, now it's your job to dictate your schedule. And that really goes into like prioritizing, like, what are the actions that are the most profitable for me long term? How do I prioritize them? And then even going into your energy levels, like some people, they're night owls. So there's some people who can just, work all night and that works for whatever it is that they do. Right. And then there are some people who are just like, they're more morning. They work better and more functional in the morning. So really knowing yourself and knowing, what's the best schedule that works for me. And how can I make that work in whatever it is that I'm doing? So seeing, I would say, like having like a calendar, like a Google Calendar or something like that is visual, because when you look at the calendar, like in front of you, like I have a Google Calendar that I'm constantly updating, it shows you 168 hours that you have available to yourself. And you realize, oh man, there's a lot of free time that I'm not really utilizing to the best of my ability. So when you find yourself maybe falling behind or not doing what it is that you're supposed to do, you need to check back in that 168 hours that you have in the week and really make sure that things are going where they're supposed to go. So I definitely agree. And it's crazy because my last point actually ties into this.